Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, we're going to cover this Root Metrics report. They finalized their report for the first half of 2022. That is now ready to go. So we're going to take a look at it. I know this morning I made a very quick, brief video letting you guys know that Verizon once again is claiming that network dominance. And if you look at it from a metro standpoint, I mean, they just have a huge lead over the others. And that has been the case for several years now. That hasn't really changed much. But the others have started gaining on them, especially AT&T at the state level. They started gaining quite big. In fact, they beat Verizon at the state level in the first half of 2022. I don't expect that to be like that forever. I expect as Verizon gets out to these sites, they start upgrading. They have the larger network. They start adding in more densification. I do expect that to change. But for now, we'll let AT&T keep their, they're going to keep their lead. They won. They got the state levels for now. So I wanted to kind of look at this report from a T-Mobile standpoint. The reason being is AT&T and Verizon have dominated this report for forever now, right? It's always been Verizon 1, AT&T 2, the rest 3 and 4. It used to be Sprint 3rd, T-Mobile 4th. And then towards the end there, T-Mobile was starting to catch even Sprint, but not quite. So what I wanted to look at is the speed, right? So the way that I do it, I look at all of the third parties. I look at Ookla, OpenSignal, I look at this. And now that they're all out, I can now make a objective opinion, an informed opinion that T-Mobile has the fastest network. I look at Ookla, right, which is crowdsourced. I know I've said in comments that some of that is flawed, which it is, but I can objectively take those numbers. Now I can look at the scientific testing, and then I can look at the OpenSignal testing, and I can say T-Mobile has the fastest 5G network. I can say that with confidence now by looking at all of them objectively. Will that continue? That remains to be seen. We'll definitely keep an eye out. So the next one that I wanted to look at is this one, right? So AT&T is at 434. T-Mobile 398 and Verizon 739. Verizon dominating that. Now this is what I consider dominance, right? The fact that everyone was saying on the Ookla report that T-Mobile is dominating 187, 113, not really super dominating. This right here, that gap, that is huge domination by Verizon. Huge. I mean, it's not even close. Now, all of the improvements that T-Mobile has done over the last 2 years, deploying 2.5, scaling 2.5, adding in more 600, not all sites had 600, so that's happening still too, came at the expense of AT&T. AT&T started the C-band deployment late, and now the DoD deployment, that started late. AT&T still has, from what I'm being told, they have a densification issue. They did not complete their huge small cell build out that was set for 2015. They were going to deploy 40,000 some small cells that never got completed. And then after that, AT&T has been relatively quiet on small cells. They haven't came forth and said anything about how big or how many they're going to deploy. They have been deploying them. We have seen them deploy them, but they have never said anything publicly after that 2015 debacle. So T-Mobile has catched him. I mean, they are in the metro areas. They're now neck and neck. This is not a huge difference anymore. And T-Mobile is improving far faster and far more than AT&T. So AT&T dropped -60. T-Mobile improved by 133. At that pace, at that given pace, in the second half testing this year, T-Mobile is going to surpass AT&T in performance in the second half at the metro levels. And then the only thing that AT&T has left to hold on to is the coverage. So if AT&T for you is still more expensive than what you would pay on T-Mobile, it's going to be tough for AT&T to justify you paying that higher price. T-Mobile offers perks. They offer potentially a better network in the second half at the metro level. So that's going to be tough. That's going to be very tough. And then the clear-cut premium leader is still Verizon. Now, that may anecdotally not be the same for you. You may still have congestion. It may still be slower for you, but that, again, you got to roll with those punches. Because as you see nationally, everywhere, according to the scientific testing at the metro level, Verizon's still clearly dominant. So, like I said, the reason I speak on it from a standpoint of T-Mobile, because they've never been this close. They've never threatened AT&T in any of the route testing in the past. Now, they're knocking on the door. So, is AT&T going to come out victorious in the second half? That remains to be seen. But, I mean, the 2.5 scale is only going to continue growing, and they're only growing the bandwidth, right? In this third quarter, we're going to start seeing N25 pop up, and that's going to be all aggregated on the standalone core. That's going to scale in the fourth quarter. Then we're going to see N41 widen more. We're already seeing that 140, some 150. So as they do that, and then we see the backhaul scale, I mean, they're just going to get faster and faster. I've seen testing come in now. People are doing 1.5, 1.7 gigs on N41. And that's going to continue growing and scaling. The backhaul is not at 100%, 10 gigs at everywhere. They're at 30%. They're trying to get to 50%. A lot of that is not on T-Mobile. They have the contractual stuff done. But to get the third party to go to the sites and upgrade their back end, that's what's holding them back. Not all third party providers are ready for 10 gig on their equipment. That's the biggest problem that T-Mobile is facing right now. The third parties have to get their stuff ready in order to give T-Mobile 10 gigs. And a lot of providers can't do that right now. They're working on it. They're getting there. But right now, they just can't do it. So little by little, we're going to start seeing that progressing throughout the quarters, from what I'm being told. So the one area where AT&T dominated, Verizon dropped to second, and T-Mobile is just further behind, is at the state level, which we know is a problem for T-Mobile. But even Root Metrics, which has been, by fact reporting that T-Mobile is the weakest, they even say that T-Mobile is rapidly improving at the state level. As you can see, it's 262 AT&T, 224 Verizon, 49 for T-Mobile. They're way behind in terms of all of the overall scores, right? Overall, they won 1, reliability 1, and then accessibility 18, and the rest follow. But they need to improve on the reliability, and then overall, they need to improve to catch up to Verizon and AT&T. I suspect they get better in the second half, and then next year. There are rumblings internally at T-Mobile that they are reprioritizing the capex, and a lot of that is now going to rule, because as they add sites, as they gain coverage, they're rewarded every time. I'm hearing, and I'll just throw I'll throw this in for you guys. T-Mobile now covers 96% of the population in Montana. Their port ratios to Verizon are now 25-1. They are growing. So that's how they're being rewarded, and they see it. They add coverage, they add a store, they grow. It's that simple right now. That's what I'm being told. There's nothing else to say. They're growing in the rural parts. So now they want to put focus on that because of strategic growth, because it works. It's not like they're only doing 3-1 on the ports, 25-1. So that's pretty big. And that means that people are looking for an alternative. They have been looking for one, and they need something cheaper. So let me know what you think about this. I didn't want to make this video too long. So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See you in the next one. Peace.